Hey everyone, it's Alex with alextucker.ca, and today I'm going to answer the question, what is social media marketing? So, to put it in so many words, social media marketing is the use of online networking tools for marketing purposes. So, anywhere that people are gathering and communicating online is really potentially a place that you can perform the act of social media marketing. These are some of the big ones that I have the symbols of up here, but a couple that are notably missing would be, for example, Quora and Reddit. You can get a lot of traffic if you use those places correctly. And, what are they if not social media? So that's basically what it is. And I'll move down to the next little question I have here, which is how can it help my business? And a better question might actually be how can it not help my business? Because whether you're a business to business enterprise or a business to consumer enterprise, it really doesn't matter. Social media marketing will be able to help you find more clients, find more customers, and it's not only going to do that, it's going to help you better understand those people and better serve them in the future, which is going to increase the overall lifetime value of those clients and customers. And there's a lot of research being done that indicates that most companies should put more emphasis on overall lifetime value as opposed to, for example, short-term return on investment or short-term return on ad spend. But I digress. Next up, here we have, where do I start? Well, hopefully I'm going to answer that with the next couple pages of this document. And if I don't, then I'm going to swing back around to this first page at the end of the video, and we'll go over some of these platforms a little bit so that we can see exactly where to start. So, no matter who you ask what social media marketing is and what it consists of, you're probably going to get a slightly different answer, but it's probably going to be very similar. And this is loosely based on what I learned in Udacity's digital marketing nano degree. I know it's different than that, but I certainly got a lot of value out of that course, so I'm pretty sure that a lot of that bled through. But anyways, what I have here is I've kind of broken down social media marketing into 3 pillars, and those are planning and posting, outreach and engagement, and paid ads and analysis. So, I'm not going to spend too much time on this slide because I've got a better explanation of each of them down below. So, planning and posting includes tactics, strategy, and scheduling. Now, as part of this, you need to choose the platforms, the tactics, and strategies that will work best for your business or brand. And in thinking about that, you need to not only consider your own preferences and strengths, but also what generally works for your type of business. So, for example, to use myself as an example, as a digital marketer, I'm on most of these platforms. However, I focus on Twitter and Facebook because I consider writing to really be my strength, and that's a place where I can share more writing and more written words, and where the written words kind of more appreciated than it is on, say, Instagram or Pinterest, where images are in much higher demand. And another thing that is important, of course, is to research your competition and perform SWOT analyses on them and on your own business. Now, if you're not familiar with the term, a SWOT analysis, I hope I get this right, is an analysis of the strengths, weaknesses. Well, I knew I was going to forget something important. So, a SWOT analysis is an analysis of the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats I was going to say something else for O, so I'm glad that I looked at that. Now, the reason that it's important to do this for both yourself and your competition is probably pretty plain, but basically, looking at your opposition's strengths and weaknesses, you can find things that you might want to do similar to them, and you can also find areas that you can do things differently than them to excel by capitalizing on their weaknesses, for example. And that would also fall into the category of opportunities. But opportunities, of course, do not have to be based on your opposition's weakness. That could be, for example, if your business is like the first in an area, if there's demand in the area for something and there's not really a supply for it, then that would be a significant opportunity. And then threats, and threats can really be anything. Threats could be like, is there potential legal ramifications of what you're doing? Like, is it a legal gray area? Or another threat might be like, is there a really, really high competition in your area? Or another one might be, like your own health. Like, do you have health problems that might prevent you from being able to work enough to keep your business going? And so those would all be things that you need to factor in. So, like, for example, with the last one, if you have health problems, then you might need to factor that in and set your business up in a way that you don't need to work quite so many hours, where you can outsource some of the labor and kind of be more of a project manager or a boss and really have a business that operates, as opposed to like workhorsing it yourself. And of course, that's you need to work your way to that position, but it's still something you need to think about. And so that kind of applies to both yourself and, of course, to other businesses. And another important part of planning and posting is to create a content calendar that you can stick to based on your known strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. So this is actually a weakness of mine. It's something that I need to practice as much as I preach, because I tend to create very busy content calendars that I feel like I should be able to stick to, but I'm not always able to stick to them. And that ends up feeling frustrating, and you get backlogged, and then you have to change it up. And it's pretty, it's pretty simple to create a content calendar. And even if you don't stick to it, it's really good to have one, because you can just change it up. You can just move things down. You can just move things around. And it's really good to have that source, so that you don't need to wake up every day and be super, super creative. You don't need to wake up every single day and have a fresh idea. Instead, you can sit down for a couple hours, or even just like a half hour once in a while, and plan your content for the next week or month or whatever. And that way, when you wake up every day, it's like, well, I'm going to post this, and you might already have it prepared, or you might just need to work on it a little bit, and then it's ready to go. And it really cuts down on the amount of work that you need to do. And that's one of the reasons that I love using a tool like SocialBee or like Hootsuite or something that you can use to schedule your post in advance, because that way you figure out what you want to say and you set it up, and then it goes when you want it to go. And you can, anytime that you actually feel like it, that's when you get to sit down and engage with your audience and engage with your community on those platforms. And then just at the end of this page here, I have the question, where are you posting your content? So that will also be a determining factor in the platforms that you choose. Like I mentioned, I'm a writer, and so I have a website or two. And I like to post on my blog, and then like I said, Twitter and Facebook are really better places for sharing blog posts than Instagram. You can't really share blog posts on Instagram at all, in fact. And I do need to get into Pinterest, because that is a good place to share blog posts, and I am working on that. But then, for example, you might like only or almost exclusively do Pinterest or Instagram if you just have a lot of images, or you might be a really video-oriented person and post all of your content on YouTube, and then just use all of your other social media sources to drive traffic to your YouTube channel. Personally, I believe that you should have a website. In most cases, not that you should, but in most cases, it's advantageous to have a website for a lot of businesses, at least. There's lots of people that have huge success just using Instagram or just using YouTube, but usually the more layers you can have, the more success you can have in the long run. So typically you would have like your main content place, which for me is a website, a WordPress website, or it could be your YouTube channel, and then in kind of a I don't know, we can call it a circle or an aura around that, you would have your various other social media channels that you use to share your content. So without further ado, let's move on. So outreach and engagement. Now, it's very important, and basically this is what this is all about, that you join and create discussions to ask and answer questions. So that's basically what Quora is. It's people posting questions and other people answering their questions, and it's an amazing place for that. I'm in a number of Facebook groups that are almost completely devoted to people asking and answering questions, and it's just a fantastic way to learn. You can just spend a couple minutes scrolling through other people's questions, and you might find something that you've been thinking about, or you might find something that you're going to need next week. You never know. This is also how you start to build an audience. By answering questions, you can become an authority figure, and you can start to get people following you, not just because they hope that you follow back, but because they're genuinely interested in what you have to say. So that's kind of what the next point is related to, where I have find unique and creative ways to get your audience liking and sharing everything that you post. So there's a number of ways that you can do this. These are not necessarily unique or creative ones, but you can run contests on your Facebook page or on your Twitter, where you can say things like this post to enter, and we'll do a draw, and whoever is following me and liked this post gets whatever the prize is. So that's a pretty classic example. And if you can find more creative and engaging ways to get people to like and share your content, then you'll be off to an amazing start. So in keeping with the question and answers, like I said, you offer free advice in your areas of expertise when you see others posting questions, and really don't be afraid to ask questions of your own, because no one is perfect, and you might even meet a mentor, or you might ask a question that someone else is wondering about, and then they might come to you and be like, hey, thanks for asking that question, and then you might form a good working relationship from there, or something like that. And now we have the third pillar, which was paid ads and analysis. Now, the reason that I have these together is mostly just because it was convenient and it sounded kind of nice with the alliteration. But there's actually another reason that they go well together, and that's because the more data that you have, the more you can actually use your analytics to learn things. And so, just as an example, if you have 100 people following your Facebook page and you post something, the number of people who respond to that is not providing that much data, because it might just be that if you get a whole lot of response, it might just be that everyone who likes your page is really into that, or if you don't get a lot of response, it might just be that everyone was out at that time or something. Whereas the more that you scale that audience up, the more you learn, and the more that you have results that you can in fact learn from. So if you say you run an ad that boosts that same post and you get it in front of an audience of 1,000, well, the reactions that you get to that are going to tell you a lot more because it's just so much a larger sample size. And so that's why it makes a lot of sense, if you have the budget for it, to run ads early and often. Really, they don't need to be big ads. They don't need to be massive ad spends. They don't need to run for weeks on end. But if you can put your content out in front of a bigger audience, then you're going to learn more about what your audience likes. And in the process, you're also going to increase the size of your audience. So it's definitely worth using ads so long as you know how to use them correctly and you're actually learning from them. So that's basically what I said here. In addition to building your audience and finding new customers and clients, ads give you a large amount of data, which allows for more advanced optimization. And in order to use that optimization, you really need to familiarize yourself with Google Analytics and the Facebook Pixel, or hire someone who will train you or do it for you, someone who really knows what they're doing, because there is so much useful information that is collected by Google Analytics, and even more so really by the Facebook Pixel. And it's very, very useful for retargeting, and it's very useful just for, like I said, learning what your audience really likes. And finally, I have you can use ads to kickstart new things and to reliably fill the slow times. So, if you're just starting off something new, it makes sense to maybe run some ads to get some more likes, to get some more interest. If you don't have any clients or customers at all, or if it's really a slow time, then it might make sense to run some ads and to get things started. And I mean, realistically, like I said, it makes sense if you get your ads going properly and they're bringing in regular traffic and regular conversions, then of course it makes sense to run them early and often, because it's just going to bring you more good things. So I'm going to scroll back up and just come back to this main page and come back to the question of where do I start? Well, I hope that I answered that already, but I'm going to answer it more specifically now. You can make a free Twitter account today. You can make a free Facebook page and Facebook Business Manager account today. You can make a free YouTube account today. You can make a free Instagram account today. You can make a free Pinterest business account today. You can make a free LinkedIn profile and business page today. And you can make a free Google My Business page today. So there's a lot of options there, and that's not even all of them. It's just some of my personal preferred places to get started. So if you really don't know where to start, I would say start with a Facebook page, because that is it's got the biggest audience out of all of these that I have here, and it's just, as long as what you're doing is marketable, there's going to be an audience for it on Facebook. So that's a good place to start. And Facebook is also very easy. There's lots of tutorials out there to help you, and I would suggest checking out some more of my tutorials. And if you have any questions about this video or about anything else related to social media marketing, don't hesitate to contact me. You can get my email on my website, alextucker.ca, or you can leave a comment in the comments on the YouTube channel. So thank you so much for watching. I will catch you in the next video.